Good morning, everybody. How's it going? I hope everyone's Friday is off to a good start, or it's wrapping up nicely, depending on where you are. I see we've got Cynthia here. She's saying it's sunny in Wisconsin. It's also sunny here in Ohio. We've got Robert and Pegret from Florida. Very sunny. Eliza and Jan are checking in. We've got Bonnie from Oregon and Tina, of course, and Deb and Senna from Germany. So thanks everyone for tuning in today. This is our weekly roundup of news and student art from our community. And we've got Eliza ushering me in with an intro. Excellent, excellent. So I wanted to start off, obviously iPad is kind of on our minds right now, and you guys have been chipping away at the iPad course, working really hard. We're getting a lot of feedback about the course, and we've got Renata from Houston also checking in, and Deb who's in Brooklyn. But in our iPad course, we've heard from lots of students that are losing sleep because they're staying up all night on their iPads drawing. And I think that's just wonderful to hear that people are so addicted to drawing and being creative at all hours of the night. And this week in class, students worked with layers, and we saw a lot of people using the oil painting feature, the oil painting brushes. So I want to show a couple pieces of art that I just loved that students made in class this week. And we've also got Joyce. Hey Joyce, checking in from New Mexico. So this iPad digital drawing is from Sophie, and she did this lovely drawing of a scene in Normandy, and she actually used a color palette from an image of a place in Morocco. So she's mixing color palettes and giving a little bit of flavor to this sketch of Normandy, a waterside scene that I think is really beautiful, and the colors just really pop. And I really liked how Sophie handled that. And Barbara did this lovely little giraffe portrait that I thought was so sweet. And I just loved the way that the giraffe kind of pops off the background. So Barbara, that was adorable. Thanks for sharing your giraffe. And Faye did this really soft, beautiful painting using a color palette from a Van Gogh painting. And I'm not sure what struck me about this image, but I really loved it, and it kind of reminded me of maybe if Francis Bacon took up more of a pastel-hued color palette. This is something that he might create. That's kind of a weird image, but I just love this. So Faye, thanks for sharing this really interesting, really beautifully done iPad drawing with us. And one of the things that I loved this week in the schoolyard, one of our students, I believe it was Marianne, she started a little game where she was posting color palettes from famous paintings. And I have to say, Jen Cahill is a rock star at guessing color palettes. Marianne posted a few of these questions, and Jen was on top of it and knew almost all the answers. So just as a little test, this is one of the color palettes that Marianne shared. And as a hint, it comes from a painting in the 1600s that's really well known. And I'm just curious if any of you have a guess as to what painting this palette came from. And if Jen were watching, she'd be sitting in her seat right now, on her hands, trying not to raise her hand with the answer. But some of you guessed in the schoolyard, and this is actually from the girl with the pearl earring painting. So thanks, Marianne, for playing that little game with us in the schoolyard. I thought that was a lot of fun. Some other projects that students are working on in the schoolyard is obviously the Inktober craze that's happening right now. So for Inktober 2019, there is a prompt for every day in the month of October. And I wanted to share some of the drawings that people have been creating. I see Jen popped in, so she kept that answer to herself, but she definitely knew it in the schoolyard. Yep, Eliza, you totally guessed it. Sorry, there might be a little delay with the comments here. But moving on to Inktober, I love this drawing that Anne did to kind of kick off Inktober with this crow kind of going at a bottle of red ink, and it sort of has a sinister, spooky feel to it, and I just love the detail that she had here in this drawing. And I want to share another drawing that Judith did of this little wood-burning stove. It's a really simple drawing, and one of the reasons I'm actually trying Inktober this time around is because really all you need is a pen and paper. And I have no excuse to not be able to do a quick sketch every single day with just one pen. So Judith, this is a perfect example of something really simple and also something that really provokes something in me. Sentimental purposes. I always think of my dad when I see wood-burning stoves. He has one in our home where I grew up, one in his garage, and one in his workshop barn. So lots of wood stoves happening, as I was growing up at home. And I love this drawing, Judith. It's really simple, and it made me think of my dad, so that was fun. I also want to give you guys a reminder that today is the last day to enter our Mike Lowry book giveaway. Now, if you're in the schoolyard and you can post a drawing inspired by a trip you've taken or a place that you've been, we are actually giving away 2 sets of Mike Lowry's latest book. So, in the schoolyard using the giveaway topic, check this out and share a piece of art that you've created based on a place that you've traveled, kind of in honor of Mike's travel drawing, which he does in this book that we're giving away. And if you're in the United States, you'll be eligible to win the prize, and you can submit that by posting your drawing in the schoolyard with the giveaway topic. We've also got some other folks checking in from Germany. We have Campina, which I'm not sure if that's the real name or just a screen name, but thanks for joining us. Some other stuff that's happening. Oh, we've got Ashley as well. Thanks, Ashley, for tuning in. In the schoolyard, we also have some other student projects happening right now, and I wanted to point out our Student Spotlight feature this week. We met John Cromer, who is a longtime student at Sketchbook School, and I'm going to break out the cowbell for John. Wrong side, unlearning it, because John actually just passed his 1900th daily drawing last week. He's been on a drawing a day streak for over 1900 days. And that is wildly impressive to me, and I just want to tip my hat to John for rocking his daily drawing challenge. So you can meet him in this week's Student Spotlight. I'll link to it in the Bulletin write-up, and you can also find it in the schoolyard. I also just wanted to share some other art. I just love this image. I'm going to share it full screen that Pam did of some travel sketching she did when she went on a trip to New York City. And I definitely recognize some of these landmarks. I think most of you will if you've ever been to New York City. And I just love the way that Pam broke up her page and really featured a lot in one spread. And I love this approach to travel drawing because I think it really helps with trying to cram in a lot of little quick drawings during a trip so that you're not having to fill entire pages every time you sit down to draw. So Pam, thanks so much for sharing that. I also wanted to share that some of you have been taking your iPad drawing to different settings and different places. So while a lot of you are iPad drawing on your couch or in bed at night, just playing around with the tools, Beth actually went to a life drawing class, and she shared this drawing that she did on her iPad using some tools on the iPad, but for a life drawing class. So I thought that was really cool that Beth was taking her iPad, on location and out into the world. And I thought it was really fun that she attempted figure drawing in a digital format. So that was great. I also want to share some really beautiful drawings that Deb Mostert did. She's actually from Australia, and she's gearing up to teach a workshop at a sketch fest in Brisbane, Australia. And she did these really cool drawings of statues as part of her focus for this workshop. So I love the way that she handled these in a concertina sketchbook, so you can kind of spread them all out and see them together, or you can look at them as individual drawings. So Deb, thank you so much for sharing that. That was a lot of fun. Another student project that I want to mention, lastly, is that we've got a group of students gathering for North Texas. So we've added a couple regional groups in the past couple weeks under the groups column in the schoolyard. So we've got SBS friends meeting up in North Texas and also in the DC area. So I will link to those groups in the write-up for this week's bulletin. But for those of you that are in Washington, D.C. or local to that area or traveling to Washington, D.C. for vacation, check out that group in the schoolyard and also check out our newly minted North Texas sketch group. It's going to be working on getting a meetup going there. So definitely great to check that out. And a couple meetups to brief you on that we have going on this weekend. Our friends over in Wisconsin are meeting up, the Crazines with John Bloner. Their group is meeting on Saturday for their annual art jam. And the theme this month is Tim Burton and all of his lovely cinematic and artistic contributions. So Check out this meetup with the Crazines if you're into Tim Burton and happen to be in Wisconsin. We've also got our Northern California sketchbook buddies that are meeting up in Vacaville, California on Saturday as well. So check that out if you're in Northern California. And then on the 10th, next week, we've got our a very grumbly dog over in the corner of the room right now. Sorry about that. We've got our friends meeting up in Princeton, New Jersey. The Somerset County chapter is meeting up at the Farm Barn Cafe on October 10th. So be sure to check that out if you're in Jersey. And thank you all for tuning in. I hope everyone is about to kick off a creative and fun-filled weekend. And I look forward to seeing y'all back here next week. And I hope you make many, many drawings between now and then. So thanks for tuning in and happy Friday.